All right, let's get started. So dun dun dun. Whoa! So this would be if you feel like you're an advanced builder, this definitely would be your build today. If you feel like you're not as an advanced builder, then you probably would go with shorter segments. So you can see the light at the top of the lighthouse. Here's the observation deck where the lighthouse keepers would go in and, "Ooh, what's going on? Anything going on out here?" You can see we have the rails. I love the nether brick fence, really beautiful. And we have this deck going around. You notice how we have these segments. So there are 3 blocks of the color segment, and usually we'll have 4 segments in each run. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course, every lighthouse needs to have some kind of light inside of it. So we're getting the natural kind. So we're putting a whole bunch of windows in. So if you wanted to grab some blocks, you could do that. And you could try to make a spiral staircase if you are that ambitious. However, I love the scaffolding. Kind of looks like it's an elevator. I love it. Whoa. And there we go. We're up in our observation deck again, doing all of our experiments. All right, so let's get started. If you wanted to, you could do this in an infinite world and put it by water. That would be really fun. Okay, so you're going to put 1 block of your stone brick. Then we're going to do 7 blocks of space. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we'll put another block. So it looks like that. Okay, we're actually going to make a square. So let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then the next one. Okay, same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And on the 8th one, you put your block. So when you're finished, you should have this square. I actually had some students that I taught, and they're from China, and they were really amazing because I asked them, "What is the area inside of a circle?" And this is what they did. They made this square inside the circle, and then made they found out the area of the square, and then they added a few little additional elements to it, and they found it out. It was incredible. Great. So you notice how I took 2 blocks and I put it right along the edge of this little trough here, 2 blocks on each side. And then in the middle, I just bridged it with 3 blocks. So let's try it again. Okay. So you're on the outside. You go 1, 2, you're attaching it to the little block of 1. And then you're going to bridge them together. Okay. On the other side, we'll do the same thing. So we have 2 blocks, and then we bridge it. This is kind of the easiest way to make a circle. If it doesn't, if it's hard for you to visualize the circle, this is kind of the easiest way to see it. And there you go. There's the whole foundation to our lighthouses. Okay, so we're going to go up 4 blocks on top of this. We have 1 on the foundation. So how many is 1 plus 4? 5. There you go. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll go all the way around. This build, it really is a build that builds character because there's a lot of repetition in it. It's kind of a fun build to be able to take pride in because it really is spectacular with all the repetition that happens. The impact is great. So yeah, you saw the pictures. The beginning picture that you saw of the lighthouse actually is an island that I used to live on. I don't live there anymore, but that's where my family originated from. So my grandmother is there, and all my uncles are there. So, anyways, I have a large portion of family on that island. So you take a ferry, the ferry that you saw in the picture. It's called the Grand Manan 5. And it takes an hour and a half to get to the island of Grand Manan. There's about 3,000 people that live there. And it really is a community where everyone knows everyone, and and it's very tight knit. So if anything happens to anyone there, they all pull together. All right, and speaking of pulling together, we are going to put a roof on this. You can do any block you want as a roof, but I kind of like the stone brick. I'll just continue on doing the stone brick. So we'll go in the inside. This is called the area of the circle here. So if you were to find the area of a circle, it's just pi r squared. So that's kind of fun that you can find that out. And what pi is, if you were to take the diameter, so the diameter is from one side, the one edge of the circle to the other edge of the circle. If you were to take that big long string and wrap it around the circle, it actually goes around the circle 3 times and just a little bit of space, and that space is 1.4. So it's like a 14th of the inch there. So it just closes it up. And that's what pi is, 3.14. Isn't that crazy? The diameter is the pi. What? Confusing. All right, so you choose your first color. We go up like this, and we have 3 blocks. And you notice how we left a space on the edge. Then we're going to go 3 diagonal blocks, and then we'll do 3 horizontal and diagonal, and you get the idea. So we're doing 3 diagonal, 3 horizontal. You're gonna hear 3 a lot, I guess, during this build. So that's what it looks like. It has a little bit of space on the outside. And yeah, so now whatever color you choose, you're just going to go up 3 blocks of that color. So we'll call this a segment. We have segments in math too. There's line segments, so they're just little pieces of a large line. It's like somebody took scissors and cut out a piece of the line and then said, here, this is a little segment of the line. So that's what we're doing here. We're doing little segments. So imagine these going on, and we just cut a little piece out of it like that. Okay, so we're going to do what I call the 2-2 method. So we're going to do 2 segments of the red and 2 segments of the white. So you're going to just, well, you're not going to fly. Where's my elytra? So yeah, you'll go up with 2 and 3. There you go. And that's what you'll do. You'll do this 4 times. We'll do 2 red and 2 white. So I'm doing my first segment of white, and then I will go back to my red. So that will finish my segments of the red. Whoa. And everything is great. So my grandfather actually was the lighthouse keeper. He would be responsible for actually 2 of the lighthouses on the island. So he would make sure that the light is not burnt out. He made sure that the generator was always working and tuned up. He also made sure that the weather, so he would keep everyone, he was kind of like the meteorologist too. He would let everyone know kind of what the weather was going to be and to prepare if it was going to be a rough sail. Now, a lot of the men on the island, they were usually lobster fishermen. So that was the biggest industry, but they also had other things that they fish for. One was something called sea urchins. So if you had the license to be a sea urchin fisherman, then you could do that. And then there also was salmon. So salmon was another industry, is still an industry there, and sea urchins still are. They actually sell the sea urchins to Japan. They call it umi. So in Japan, they eat them and they call it umi. So they really like it. Okay, so I have my 2 red segments done, and now I'm finishing my last white segment, and then I'm finished this run here. Then I'll make it smaller. So I'm going to reduce the circumference. So remember, circumference is a fancy math word for just meaning the outside of a circle. So if I were to take a string and wrap it around the entire outside of a circle and then measure that string with a ruler, we could say that's the circumference. That number equals the circumference of the circle. Whoa. So hopefully you're good at giving yourself a lot of tips there. All right, so there is my first segment. I'm all done. And now I'm going to do kind of like a pattern. So I have four segments here. So now the next one, I'm going to do three segments. So this is what it'll look like. We're doing the red. Do you see how we're building a little shelf here? And so you'll really do four, three that you can see with your eyes, and one of them that's hiding, interacting like a little shelf here. So you'll be going up with four blocks. And also, my grandfather was the barber. So if you wanted your hair cut, you just went to the lighthouse and he would cut your hair. So on the island that I lived on, they had to be masters of everything. They didn't just become fishermen. They had to learn to build their houses, plumb their houses, do the electrical, learn to, be the firefighters of the island. Yeah, they just had to become very adaptable because there really wasn't any uh, people outside of the island you could rely on. So there was a lot of being self-reliant. But now, of course, there are like trained doctors that live there and trained nurses, and they still do have volunteer firefighters that get training. And so yeah, there is that. And actually, the one fire truck on the island, the part that holds the water actually used to be an old milk storage unit for the milk for the tank. Yeah, like I said, we have to adapt. Yeah, so I used to teach on the island. There was just two on there was actually a smaller island called Whitehead Island. So I taught on that island, and there were two rooms. That's it. Two classrooms in the school. There's no gym, no lunchroom, a little library right between the two rooms. It had one bathroom and a tiny, tiny little office for the two teachers that taught there. I had 7 students in my class, and the other teacher, and the 7 students I had were 3 grades. So grade 3, 4, and 5. I had to teach all those grades there. All right, so we have done 3 segments, and now I'm going to do 2 segments at the top. So I'm going to start with 2 right here, and then we'll finish with the red. Or you can finish with the white, doesn't really matter. If you wanted to do 3 segments again, it's really up to you. Yeah, so we used to have one store on the island. It was kind of a general store where you could get anything like hardware, paint your house, buy your groceries there. Um, yeah, even if you were able to catch a deer, sometimes they would process the deer there while it was in hunting season. So yeah, very unique place to live for sure. Um, and then the gym, they had another school on the main island, which is Grand Manan. They had a big gym and a modern library, things like that. But yeah. So the people who came to the island originally were from the Netherlands. They were Dutch. They were promised land as long as they took care of it. Whoa. I guess I didn't want to fly again. And so, yeah, there's a lot of people on the island with the last name Kosseboom because that's what was their Dutch name. Okay. So you can see, oh, I went on the outside there. Here, I should go back. We'll go on the outside just because I don't know. It looks better when it's more symmetrical. Okay. So now we're going to put a deck on it because the lighthouse keeper obviously needed to do certain observation. He had to make sure that the light was good. So the lights have changed a bit for sure. Um, those lights you saw in the video are definitely what you see now. But when my grandfather was a lighthouse keeper, they were like 4 lights. And when one would burn out, the light would kind of rotate up, and then he would change that light because it was less dense, so it came to the top. So that's how he knew it was able to be changed and needed to be serviced. Okay, so we're going to take our next block here. So I'm using the jungle wood planks, and I'm just coming out, every time you see a flat surface, I'm just coming out 3 blocks, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So I have this like surface here. But then if I turn in the next direction, I have 1, 2, and 3 like that. So I have to make sure that I'm using all these as 3. Okay, so you'll go all the way around doing 3 blocks on each surface. All right, looking like a beautiful lighthouse. So the lighthouse that was on the island, it was Swallowtail. That's the one that you saw. It's really beautiful. Most of the lighthouses now are automated by a computer. So nobody actually takes care of them. Only a computer is monitoring. So there's a laser. If you go and look at a computer, I mean, a lighthouse, and look at the top, you'll see, if especially at night, you'll see this laser, might be red or green. So you'll see this laser coming out. And yeah, that's taking the density of the air. It's pushing back information into the computer as it takes measurements of, how much fog is in the air. So if there's a lot of fog, then it would tell the computer to turn on the foghorn. So then you would hear the wah. So yeah. All right. So I'm doing the observation deck. So I just went on the surface. So I'm using the pattern right here. You can see. So I'll just go on the surface there. And then I'll probably put 2 glass blocks high. You'll probably want to leave some room for a door. So it depends where you want your door. Okay. Now, originally the lighthouse observation deck and the light are all in one place. But yeah, for this build, we're not doing it. All right, so we'll go around on the top of the glass, all the way around the circumference. Remember, when we talk about circles, we say circumference. Remember, it kind of sounds like the beginning sound of circle, circumference. Great way to remember it. So that's the outside. And now we're doing the inside area there. All right, so there's our observation deck. You might want to put a door in it. And you also might want to like fill in the floor. So you can remove these blocks if you want to kind of keep it all uniform. So you can put a floor in there, make it look like, an official deck. And then probably inside, you will want to probably put some kind of scaffolding in this area. So I love scaffolding for the fact that it's quick and easy, and it's just easy to use too. So I'll just put a piece of scaffolding in there, and then eventually, oh yeah, that's right. Wonder if I can just dump them in there. There we go. No, 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 no. See if we can build it up here. Oh yeah, look at that. I knew that happened. And just wow, look at that. Instant elevator. That's why we love scaffolding. Okay, so we'll put a door in there, and look at that. Beautiful. Okay, so we have our redstone. I love redstone. You can choose anywhere you want. I have it on the 4th block, 1, 2, 3, and on the 4th. And then I'll go up 3 blocks like that. I think I'll make it in like a plus sign symbol. And then that way, it really gives a good surface for our redstone lamp. So it only will turn on, the redstone lamp will only turn on if it touches the redstone. So for instance here, it didn't touch the redstone, so it's not turning on. We need to make sure that it's always contacting the full flat surface of it. It won't activate if it's just touching a corner. All right, there's our light. Beautiful, right? And then our last and final piece to the puzzle, and then of course you can add more great details after that. You're just going to put your slab. So just fill the top with your slab. So just fill it all up. Okay, and then we'll go one more round around it. You might want to fill in some more gaps just to give it a good surface. Like here, it kind of looks a little wimpy, so you might want to add some more, maybe twice around or something. Okay, so just go around so that it looks like a good covering over top. The light um, needs to be well preserved because actually the sea is full of salt and the air obviously evaporates and that salt carries through the environment. So we actually had a lot of problems on our island with rusting. So any metal surface would definitely have problems with rusting. So that's why you would have to make sure that you had a really good soffit so that the rain would go away. If the rain sat down here, then it would start to rust. You can also, if you wanted to bring out like another little surface, if you wanted to kind of have more of a distinct layer here. These are some of the details you can add. It just looks fun. Okay, we have our door in, and of course you need to be safe. So you need to put some fences around here. Your lighthouse keeper might not have a good ending to his career. Okay, so we're just keeping up with this area here. Perfect. Voila. Now, here you would probably put some kind of stairs. So you want a door, of course, on your build. And you probably want a few windows in here. So you probably want to add, if you want, you can add just a couple windows along the middle here. You can place some stairs at the bottom so you can get up. So that would be something you could add. And then of course, just add some stairs. It's really, up to you what kind of stairs. If you like more of the just brick layer and you just want to keep going with that, then that's great. Ay, ay, ay. We got mossy. Yeah, that happens too. So you can do your stairs along here. I'm just kind of cheating a bit and just adding, oh, another stair underneath. You could potentially. Okay, so you see what I'm doing here. So that we can add another layer and then one in front. Okay, we could even add like a little wall to give it this idea that it's encased. So I would, do just kind of add a little wall there, just closing up the stairs. And then probably there, you don't want seagulls nesting down in there. Ah, yes, seagulls. They also cause a lot of damage, believe it or not. All right, so there's your build. And there is kind of a neat block. You notice how there's, it's not a lot of light there. Hello, skeleton. So you could get a block called the light block. I love the light block because it really doesn't, like here. You notice how it's like really dark here? So then I just whack it with the light block and wow, look at that. It adds so much light to your build. So it just kind of gives a nice little light source without even seeing it. It's like invisible. Okay. So how do you get the light block? Oh, see, it's kind of dark in here. Hit it with the light block and it just gets rid of all those layers. And maybe it won't encourage. There you go. So light block away. Close the door, let that skeleton figure out what's going on. Yeah. So how do we get the light block? We're going to go to your chat options. So let me just go over here. And then you're going to go slash give, GIVE, space at S. So at is shift 2 if you're on a computer. And of course your special symbol. So space. And then you do light underscore. So let me get this out of the way so you can see underscore block. So that will give you a burnt out light bulb. So if you put that in and just press enter, it'll give you a burnt out light bulb. So if you do 64, that'll give you a whole stack of 64. And then 15 is the lumen. That's how bright it is. And that's the brightest it goes. You can go from 1 to 15. You can choose any lumen you want. So if you want to, set a mood, you can do like 2 or 3. And then you just press enter and you should get another, well, I should have another one. Oh, there it is. So there you go. There's your light block ready to light up your world, just like the lighthouse. So does anybody want to show their lighthouse? What a fun build, right? Oh, it looks great. Okay. Thanks so much, everyone. It was great kind of reminiscing about my childhood and family, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.